Hello everybody, welcome to the Analyst by Vajiram and Ravi dated 20th March 2026, where we would try to comprehensively analyze 7 articles in 2 different sections, along with your daily mains answer writing program. In the analysis part, we will first have a comprehensive discussion with respect to the recent demand of Rs 1.44 lakh crore by the Punjab CM from Rajasthan as royalty for the river water used by them since 1960. Then, in the second article, we will have a discussion with respect to the power demand of India, which is expected to rise by 30 gigawatts due to AI, data center, and EVs adoption. Then, in the prelims pointer section, we will have a discussion with respect to 5 different articles from the special perspective of your upcoming UPSC prelims 2026 exam with some value addition. Now, coming to the very first topic of today's analysis, we'll see how Punjab government, or specifically the CM of Punjab, has asked or demanded a 1.44 lakh crore rupees from Rajasthan as royalty fees for using the river water since 1960, based upon the previous agreements, old agreements. Basically, he said that the water which the state of Rajasthan is getting from rivers like Satluj and Ravi, they have to give royalty or user fee for that water. And this issue highlights the interstate water disputes in India, which is a major topic. Now, this can be aligned with your syllabus of GS paper 2 of polity, where we'll see about federal structure, how different states are fighting for water, how center is involved in between them, and how center is accused of sometimes taking sides of some other states. This is also linked with the GS paper 1 of Indian geography, which talks about distribution of rivers and river system and water resources along with agriculture, because all these are linked topics. Fine. So first we'll see what is the present dispute, why this is in news. Basically, as we have seen, CM Bhagwant Mann demanded 1.44 lakh crore from Rajasthan. The claims are that Rajasthan used 18,000 cubic of water since 1960 without any payments. Now, why is he saying that Rajasthan is using water without any payment? Because in 1920 there was an agreement between the Bikaner princely state and undivided Punjab. Now, this agreement basically said that water will be supplied via the Gang Canal. Now, this Gang Canal has been named after the Maharaja Ganga Singh of Bikaner, who did this agreement. And Rajasthan, or specifically Bikaner, would pay royalty or usage charges to the Punjab. And this continued from 1920 up to 1960s, until when there was a turning point in 1960 when the Indus Water Treaty was signed. Now, all of you guys must be aware of the Indus Water Treaty, which says that the eastern 3 rivers of the Indus system, Ravi, Byas and Satluj, will be entirely controlled by the India, and the western 3 rivers, or your Indus, Jhelum and Chenab, the water of those rivers will go to Punjab or Pakistan. They will have the majority share of that water. Now, India got full control of the eastern rivers. As we have seen, a shift happened from the paid arrangement between Punjab and Rajasthan to the interstate allocation of river water. Now, Rajasthan stopped paying any royalty fees or usage charges under this agreement. They said basically we are in a new arrangement in a, you can say, country which was earlier the deals were brokered by the British, but now we are an independent state where a new system has been adopted. We need not pay you anything. This is what Rajasthan said. Now, in 1981, an agreement was signed, a tripartite agreement between Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan. Now, why this agreement was signed? Because at that time, all these 3 states were having Congress government. And this was led by Indira Gandhi, which finally led to Rajasthan being allocated 8.6 million agriculture feet of water. The largest share they got from this agreement. Basically, this was around 48% share of this water was given to Rajasthan. Under it, it boosted the Indira Gandhi Canal project. Fine. And finally, it formalized the Rajasthan's legal entitlement over the sharing of river water. So this was the Rajasthan's claim that under these agreements, we are now getting water and we need not pay any royalty charges. But in 2004, under the Amrinder Singh government in Punjab, basically they passed Termination of Agreements Act 2004, which basically de-linked with these sharing agreements. Basically, they said that any new water which they can use on their own soils. But in 2016, Supreme Court said that states cannot unilaterally cancel interstate agreements. It is not within the power of states that you can cancel any interstate agreement. It has to be done either by the center or brokered by courts. Clear? So now, when all these developments have happened, Why suddenly today Punjab is asking for this royalty? Why they are talking about that pay us fee or will not allow a lot of water to pass through here? Because there is declining river water availability because of climate change, because of high intensity crop grown, the excessive water usage. The water is no more surplus, and there is a severe water stress in Punjab because of extraction of high amount of groundwater. The groundwater has been extracted up to 156%, basically more than the land can replenish. They have extracted the groundwater. Fine. And it is this extraction is highest within India. All this is because of irrigated agriculture in the state. Rajasthan canal usage has expanded. Basically they are also growing more and more crops in the canal region, so they also need more water. And finally, the allocation remains fixed even now based upon the agreements in 1960s and 80s, despite reduced water because of any factor. It can be climate change, heat effect, or anything. Fine. Now we will see this topic in detail. What are the various other states, or you can say various other interstate river disputes are there present in India, where two or more different states are fighting amongst each other because of sharing of river water. There is issue in Punjab, Rajasthan, Haryana because of Satluj, Beas, Yamuna, they're linking. Then there is issue of Narmada, where sharing between MP, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Rajasthan. Then there is issue in Mandovi River in Goa, Karnataka, and Maharashtra. Then Krishna River sharing. Similarly, you have Kaveri issue frequently erupts in news. You have Godavari issue between states like Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Karnataka, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh. And similarly, multiple other small rivers and states have issues over river water sharing. Now, interstate river water dispute, why it is complex? Because it is a federal issue or a federal policy where uneven water distribution is there between Indian states. So multiple states are involved. Now 80% of India's rainfall happen in just 4 months, which shows your spatial and temporal imbalance. Of the entire rainfall which India gets, around 115 centimeter of rainfall, 80% of it just comes in the 4 months of monsoon. So in those 4 months we have water surplus in our country. In rest of the 8 months we have water scarcity in our country. So it creates an issue. Whereas spatial imbalance means that some areas are having large amount of rainfall, whereas some areas have high deficit of rainfall. For example, your entire Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan region, this is semi-arid to arid region, which has very low amount of rainfall. What are the constitutional frameworks involved in these interstate water disputes? The distribution of power is as such that within state list you have water, irrigation, and canals. However, in the union list, you have regulation of interstate rivers in public interest. So, although water, irrigation, and canals, all major things are within the state list, their regulation is done by union under the union list. Then Article 262 of the Constitution, it empowers Parliament to adjudicate interstate river water disputes, and it bars court, any court, be it Supreme Court or High Court, from jurisdiction once such law has been enacted. And this law has formed the basically your Interstate River Water Dispute Act of 1956. This has been formed under the powers given to the Parliament in Article 262 of the Constitution. Now, this article says that Supreme Court cannot intervene in these interstate river water dispute. It has to be done by a law made by the Parliament. Now, apart from constitutional framework, you have legal frameworks to resolve these interstate river water disputes, such as your Interstate River Water Dispute Act of 1956. Now, this act provides for tribunals to give binding decisions on disputes. Binding decision means that they have the final say. Generally, as per law, their appeal should not be done in any court, but usually we see that states or somebody else, they appeal in Supreme Court against the order of these tribunals. You have River Boards Act of 1956, which enables River Basin Management Board, but it is highly ineffective, because had they been doing their work properly, they managing the river basins, then these disputes would not have arisen. Then you had amendment in 2002 in the Interstate River Water Dispute Act, which talked about time limits, which were introduced for the first time, but they have often been ignored. Basically, talked about that the tribunal should be formed in within 1 year and they should award delivery within 3 years. However, they are largely ignored and often not recognized. Then you had Interstate River Water Dispute Amendment Bill in 2019. Now, this Interstate River Water Dispute Act, or you can say Amendment Bill in 2019, it further proposed that replacing existing ad hoc tribunals with a single permanent tribunal with multiple benches. What does it mean? Earlier, what used to happen, or let's say this bill remained a bill, it never became an act, it lapsed into the parliament. So right now also we are having an old arrangement where for every dispute, every different dispute, we have a ad hoc tribunal, which is you can say created for that particular matter. Now once these disputes are resolved, these tribunals can again be dissolved. Fine. So it talked about multiple benches, having different benches to look after different parts of the country, and fixed timelines were proposed in this amendment bill. There was DRC, which is your Dispute Resolution Committee. Within these amendments were talked about. They said that they will promote pre-tribunal negotiations and amicable settlement. That means it's a kind of conciliation and mediation. Just before two parties go to the court, this a kind of informal meeting or a resolution committee will sit and informally discuss the issue and try to resolve the issue without going to the tribunal. And there was talks of creating a central data bank. However, this bill never became an act. So these are just uh, proposed things, or you can say proposed bill. It is not implemented. Then what is the judicial role? They cannot, or Supreme Court or High Court, they cannot directly adjudicate disputes of interstate river water. They can interpret and enforce tribunal awards. However, when tribunal awards are given, they are challenged in Supreme Court or High Court. Now, ideally, they should not have been challenged, but they are challenged. Then Supreme Court interprets the decision and also tries to amicably resolve this dispute. Clear? Now, what are the reasons why so many disputes are happening between different states? One of the reasons is your riparian versus non-riparian conflict. Now, riparian states are those like Punjab, which have water bodies, which have water resources, like your rivers, river basin states. Fine. Non-riparian are your Rajasthan, which do not have river bases, or you can say river resources. There is a debate between geography versus equality. Now, geography is in the favor of Punjab, but Rajasthan demands equality. Rajasthan says that it is not our mistake that our geography is as such, we cannot have water in our state. So we, within a country, it's a, you can say, cooperative federalism where we should cooperate and divide water among others. Then there are outdated agreements. Many such agreements are based on colonial data and they have assumptions of surplus water, whereas most of the states in today's context, they are facing water stress. Then there are federal tensions between stately subject of water, canal, irrigation, all, plus the union's role in resolving these disputes. States often assert ownership mindset, exactly what right now Punjab government is doing, and center is often seen as being biased. Center generally favors the state where they have the same government of the same party. There are delays in tribunals, and whenever the justice is delayed, it leads to heightened conflict, or conflict escalates. Climate change has impacted things a lot. Because of this, what is happening? We are having erratic monsoons. Now, monsoons were having a set pattern earlier. Now, the pattern of monsoon is getting disturbed because of climate change and rising heat. At fewer times, you are having intense rainfall. Earlier, there was prolonged rainfall through the entire duration. Now, within short duration of time, you are having extreme rainfall. Then there is a in between break period where you don't have any rainfall, and like these, there is reduced river flow, there is increased drought frequency, all this because of climate change, and this has completely changed the equation of sharing water between the states. So that's why they have to update the water data on the basis of which they are sharing water. Then you have groundwater crisis, where mostly MSP driven crops are grown. Let's say your example of Punjab and Haryana, these are semi-arid regions which are having very low amount of groundwater, or you can say rainfall, but still they grow crops like sugarcane, rice, which are water guzzling crops. 1 kg of rice, if it has to be grown in a traditional way, it requires 3000 liters of water. 3000 liters of water for just 1 kg of rice. So because they get a set MSP on rice, it is profitable for the farmers. They grow the same crop, but it is not even we cannot complain just to the farmers, because the government policies are made as such that they are bound to grow these crops. then which leads to ultimately over extraction of groundwater, like we have seen in case of Punjab. Then you have non-basin based boundaries. That means the state boundaries are not based upon the rivers. On some very few boundaries between the states are based upon rivers. Let's say your Chambal makes boundary between MP and Rajasthan, but largely they are not. State borders, they are not aligned with the river basins. Then you have rising water demand because of population growth. We have now overtaken China as the most populous country in the entire world. We have more than 1.4 billion population, so demand keeps on rising. Then more and more agriculture is being done, demand rises. Urbanization, with more urbanization, urban areas require higher per capita water as compared to the rural areas. So right now we have around 35% of population living in urban areas, which is projected to increase up to 50% by 2040. Then this demand will even further rise. Industry demand is also rising, which all leads to pressure on water resources. There is poor data sharing between states and different authorities. There is lack of reliable data. Transparent hydrological data is not there, which ultimately leads to mistrust between the different states. And finally, the politicization of water. What happens? Usually it becomes an electoral issue. Largely in whatever state elections are coming, leaders go and they start giving speeches like, this is our water, this is our resource, we need to take control of this. Basically they arouse the emotions of people. A technical dispute becomes emotional conflict, and once people are riding high on emotions, they vote based upon emotions rather than rationality. So these things can happen. So politicians use these methods to gain higher amount of votes. Then what can we do? What can be the solution regarding these interstate water disputes? The solution is to strengthen the cooperative federalism. The states have to ultimately realize that we are part of one nation and we have to cooperate amongst each other to share these waters. Center should become a neutral mediator and promote consensus over litigation. That means rather than going to courts and tribunals, you form a consensus among all the parties and then take a decision. There should be permanent tribunal system, just as it was proposed in the 2019 amendment, which was lapsed. The government should bring that amendment back again with refined provisions, with multiple benches for faster decision, strict timelines for tribunal formation, award, and notification. Then you have river basin authorities for holistic management at basic level. Basically, it is like watershed management. You are management the things holistically, like your surface water, groundwater, and the entire ecology of that area. That means the ecology defines how much water is required in that particular area. All should be taken in consideration to determine the water demand and divide the water between different states. Then you can have a centralized water data bank which stores all the time to time update of data. As with climate change, the data is changing very fast, so we need such data which are regularly updated and we have all the updates. It should be a real time transparent hydrological data, should be updated by all the parties. Use of technology and AI, how? Basically in satellite data, use of satellite, and through it you can predict a lot of things. You can model about the future forecast. AI forecasting can be done for objective allocation of water resources between different parties. Then shareholder participation, including farmers, different communities, and industry, because all these are major parties in using the water resources. So everybody should have a stake while deciding these policies. You can improve the water use efficiency. How? As we have discussed, semi-arid areas of Punjab and Haryana are growing crops like rice, which are water guzzling. So you need to have drip irrigation, which will reduce a lot of you can say water wastage. In drip irrigation, you have pipes underground laid into a field, and where small drop by drop water comes out, and it keeps the soil moist rather than just flooding the entire field. Flooding the entire field leads to a lot of evaporative loss of water. So you have drip irrigation. Then crop diversification in the form of promotion of pulses, millets. These are superfoods. They are highly nutritious foods. Not only nutritious, they are environment friendly and less water intensive. So we have to promote these crops. Then wastewater has to be reused again and again. Fine. Finally, climate resilient framework, which talks about climate variabilities, how climate changes, how different kind of variations are happening in the atmosphere. Some year you have high amount of rainfall, some year you have low amount of rainfall, how it has to be managed. Finally, your interstate council under Article 263, again it's a federal issue. These councils are defunct. They do not work properly. The mandate with which these councils were formed, they are not working. Had these councils been working properly, they could have led to some kind of negotiations rather than going to litigations. So promote dialogue based and non-adversarial solutions, consensus based. Then your legal reforms by strengthening the enforcement of Interstate River Water Dispute Act. You strengthen its enforcement. Some states do not obey the orders given by tribunal under this act. Then you have environmental safeguards to ensure ecological flow of river, which maintains a good river health and biological prosperity or protection. See, if we allow the river to have a natural flow, natural course, river acts as self-cleansing. They not only clean the pollutants from the river, they will also help improve the water flow. So the health of river has to also to be improved, because see what happened right now, if the river is very polluted, its water is of no use. Nobody can use that river water because of being polluted. Had the rivers been clean, that water can be used for agriculture. Then your Indus Water Treaty, it shows that the even hostile nations can cooperate. This is a very good, until recently, just before these Operation Sindoor, when Indus Water Treaty was uh, abandoned. Before that, despite so many wars between India and Pakistan, so many clashes, the Indus Water Treaty showed a great example how two hostile nations can even have a good water sharing agreement. So had it not been abundant till now, it would have been a great example. But even right now, there was legitimate reasons for India to abandon this treaty, because again the water dynamics have changed over time. The agreement or the Treaty of Indus Water was signed in 1960. Today we are past 66 years from that time. So a lot of dynamics of water has changed by now. So these are some of the solutions which we can think of in terms of interstate water disputes. Now, what is your role? You have to write answer on this. We have a mains practice question which says interstate water dispute in India is less about water scarcity and more about governance failure. Discuss. So make sure you write this answer and practice writing this answer. You have to talk more about the legal institutional aspects, how these institutions have failed to resolve these disputes. Now, in this article, Union Minister of Power Manohar Lal Khattar, he said that India's power demand is set to rise sharply with AI, data center, and EVs, electric vehicles, expected to add around 30 gigawatt to peak demand in the next 5 to 6 years. So why this topic is important for us? It is part of GS paper 3 Indian economy, your resources, growth, development and employment. With more and more development, you will see more data centers, EVs adoption, which will lead to change in infrastructure and energy issues in India. So that's why this topic is important for us, the topic of power demand. So now let's see some of the statistics regarding the power demand in India. There is a rising power demand across India from last many years. AI data centers and EV will further add 30 gigawatts as we have seen. Right now, peak demand was 250 gigawatts in the last year, to FY 2025. This year, it was expected that the peak demand will be 270 gigawatt by FY 26, but however, this will not reach due to weather, because the summers this year were not as severe as they were expected. Then long-term projections क्या हैं? Your total energy requirement will be 459 gigawatts by FY36, from 10 years from now. Roughly, it will increase by 200 gigawatts in the next 10 years. Installed capacity target will be 1121 gigawatt. Now see, installed capacity and actual production are two different numbers. Your installed production is always higher. Actual generation is much lower as compared to it, because whatever you had let's say installed for production, it cannot be utilized 100% every time. So always generation is lower. So 760 gigawatts should come from non-fossil based sources by FY36. By FY30 we have target of 500 gigawatts renewable energy. Clear? Now why we need these clean and affordable power? Why are they crucial for us? Because we have a manufacturing growth in our country. India, if we want to become a superpower, if we want to become a large economy, we have to increase manufacturing within our country. and manufacturing requires energy. Then you have global competitiveness among countries like Indonesia, Vietnam, Philippines, Bangladesh. They are giving a good tough time to India in terms of manufacturing. Then you have global pressure in the form of carbon regulations like the CBM, Carbon Border Adjusted Mechanism by the Europe. Basically, they talks about if you have produced something using coal, they will levy extra tax on it by saying that you are polluting environment by using coal, so we levy extra tax on it. So we have a lot of competition, or you can say global pressure in these terms also. Now, how India's electricity demand and clean energy transition is being happening. Our demand for electricity is growing by 9% annually since 2021. However, the projections were that we will grow by 6%, but we have outpaced that projection. The fastest growing demand comes from the household, where largely it is driven by 40 to 50% year rise in AC sales, air conditioner sales. Now, AC penetration in India is still very low. Not each and every household have ACs, but in future, what will happen? More and more households will have AC in their house. Right now, some people are having one AC in their house. In future, they will have one AC in every room. So this demand will keep on rising. Then total power generation capacity right now for India is 521 gigawatts. Right now, what we can produce. This is the installed capacity. By this, we are the third largest electricity producer globally after USA and China. The coal is still dominant in our energy mix. How? Despite its share in installed capacity falling below 50%, coal still meets 70% of the country's power demand. We'll see this in the next slide. How? That installed capacity of coal is less. However, we still rely highly on coal. So power generation is around 70% from coal. India's 2030 clean energy target is 500 gigawatts of non-fossil fuel capacity, requiring an annual addition of 50 gigawatts of renewable energy from here on. Clear? Right now we are somewhere between 200 to 250 gigawatts of non-fossil based renewable energy. That has to be increased by 50 gigawatts every year to achieve that target. Now this is what I was talking about. Right now, this graph is regarding electricity installed capacity. Electricity installed, what we can produce, and this is electricity generation, what we are actually producing. So in installed capacity, the coal capacity is just 43-44%. Solar has a larger share here, 27%. Your wind has more than 10%. Clear? Likewise, your different sectors. You should be aware of these, not exact numbers, but at least you should be aware in the ranking that which sector has the highest capacity or which generates the highest electricity. You should be aware of this thing. And some stats like coal is more than 50% or less than 50%. These things you must remember. But the actual generation of electricity, these are the latest data of from 31st January 2026 this year. The coal-based electricity generation is roughly around 70%. So we rely highly on coal-based electricity generation. Then you have hydro 9.81%, which is well utilized. Solar, which is underutilized. Wind is underutilized. Nuclear is also well utilized. Clear? So in future, our focus on nuclear will be increasing through small modular reactors. Our focus on solar is increasing, and it can be seen how much the capacity addition is happening. Our focus on wind will also be increasing. So here the more focus will be on hydro, solar, wind, and your small nuclear. Clear? So always understand the difference between installed capacity and actual generation. Then what are the drivers of power demand in India? Why this much of demand is in India? Why every year it is increasing by 9%, more than the real GDP growth of India? First is the economic growth of India. India is the largest, or you can say fastest large growing country. Among all the large countries, we are the fastest growing country. So GDP growth is high, which leads to industrial electricity demand. Industry share is roughly around 40% plus within this. Then we have railway electrification, which is happening. We have a target of 100% railway electrification by 2030. Earlier, these engines or railway, they were run by either diesel engines or if you go even back, they were run by coal. But right now, they are 100% electrified. So there, the demand increases. Then you have urbanization. More and more people are living in urban areas where the electricity demand per capita is higher as compared to the rural areas. You have ACs, cooling demand rises with it. You have 35% of Indian population in urban areas, which will increase to 50% by 2040. Then you have agriculture, where irrigation pumps are there. A lot of state and central governments, they provide free electricity to the farmers. By providing, although they need this free electricity, but because of the nature of being free, it is being misused. Inefficient usage of irrigation pumps is done. They are being run for longer time as rather than what is required. Then you have agro processing industries and cold storage coming up. A lot of agro processing has a very bright future in India. We produce a lot of raw goods, but we do not process them, make them value added. In future we'll be focusing more on that, and it will require a lot of energy. Then you have emerging drivers. These are the main drivers. These are the main drivers in the form of AI, data center, EVs, green hydrogen production. We have green hydrogen mission, which will again require a lot of electricity to produce green hydrogen. These are the new demand layers, which will have a structural shift in electricity consumption. Then you have climate change. With rising temperature, cooling demand increases, and there is rising heat wave, which further lead to a in the uh, sharp spike in the demand for electricity. Then you must also know what is the sector-wise distribution among the electricity. Who consumes how much of electricity? Largest is done by industries. Roughly 40 to 42% is electricity consumed by industries. Industries largely are manufacturing industries, large scale clusters, all these. Then comes domestic household use by people like you and me. We consume 24%. Then you have agriculture, largely used in irrigation pumps. It is about 17%. And finally commercial, 8%. This is roughly your commercial schools, service centers, and these kind of retail showrooms, all these things. This is 8%, and this is also increasing at a fast pace. There is a shift, increasing share of residential plus service. So in residences, by the way of having heaters, ACs, and in commercial centers, your electricity consumption is increasing at a fast pace. So these are the main drivers of increase in power. Then what are the key issues in power demand management? Why demand is not met properly? Why sometimes still now we see a lot of power cuts? Why India is having issues? Why too much of dependence on coal? Some of the issues what we have in energy management or power management. You have peak versus average demand gap. What happens? There are some high peak demand, let's say in the evening, where you require cooling solutions also, and at the same time you require lighting also. That shows the peak of electricity demand, or you can say in the afternoon. But on the rest of the times, the ideal capacity is lying otherwise. So that's why I said that we need to have installed capacity based upon peak demand. So it will always be higher, but the actual generation will be lower, because a lot of other times it is lying idle. A whole, you can say, installed capacity is not utilized. For example, during the night time, when the factories are shut, when the lights are off, very less electricity is used at that time. You have a lot of coal dependence in India. Still, we require 70% of energy is met by coal. So this is an environmental trade-off. Then renewable integration challenge. We have a lot of renewable potential, but how to integrate it into the main grid? Your solar is available in the daytime, but it is not available in the night time. So we need a lot of interconnected systems. We need a lot of battery energy storage systems, which can store the solar and or wind electricity during the peak generation time, and it can be transmitted to other places during the lean period. Then your discoms are facing financial stress. Discoms are distributing companies which distribute the power. For example, Tata Power, which distributes electricity in Delhi. They face financial stress because of a lot of subsidies given by government, a lot of aggregate transmission and commercial losses, a lot of energy theft is also there, power theft. In village, in organized, unorganized colonies, you see a lot of people putting wires on the poles. They are illegally taking power. So a lot of these kind of losses are there. They have poor recovery mechanism. They cannot extract all the electricity cost. Then you have grid infrastructure constraints. Our grids need to be upgraded even now. There are a lot of transmission bottlenecks where the power is not efficiently transferred from one place to another. Whenever you send electricity through, you can say wires and other thing, a lot of losses also happen during the transmission. Then you have regional imbalances and AT&C losses. We have already discussed aggregate transmission while transmitting electricity, and commercial losses because of that or uneven recovery, all those things. Roughly 27% is the AT&C losses. This is very high. Our target is somewhere around bringing it close to 10%. Then your demand forecasting issue. Forecasting is not done properly. There are weather variabilities which affect the electricity generation by the non-fossil fuel based sources, by the renewables. You have AI and data centers coming up which have unpredictable demand. See what happens. Generally, there are studies in US which show that when universities and colleges were going on, a lot of AI was used by students. So the demand for AI was very high. Whenever the demand for AI was high, that demand for electricity was also high. And as the schools, colleges shut down, the demand for AI reduced, and subsequently the demand for electricity also reduced. So it will have an unpredictable demand. Now, this is just one thing which you can think of where it can be linked to the schools. But it is not as if it is a direct correlation. There are other factors also. Then you have a lot of government initiatives in this sector. There is policy and planning made by the government. For example, your national electricity plan by Central Electricity Authority. They review the plan of national electricity every 5 year, 10 year to make new forecasting, new timelines of what we have to achieve, what installed capacity we should have. Then there is integrated energy planning by Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog is also a active role in making a plan about the electricity distribution and generation within the country. You have demand side management also by government. For example, your Ujala LED scheme. Under Ujala scheme, government distributed a lot of LED bulbs to people, where the conventional tungsten bulbs were replaced by LEDs, which are much more energy efficient. Then you have energy efficiency program in the form of green buildings, Griha codes. All these they promote energy sustainable buildings. Like you should have bigger glass windows so that they allow natural light to come in. You require less light to um, less artificial light is required, so that the design is made as such that the ventilation is proper within the building, so that you require less air conditioning. So all these things. Then a lot of government initiatives are being taken in the case of renewable energy. For example, you have the target of 500 gigawatts, we all know, under the India's Panchamrit by 2030. Then we have PM Kusum project, where the government is promoting solar based pumps in uh, fields for farmers, so that they are not connected to the grid, but they get the energy from solar, and the power pumps are run by solar energy. So PM Kusum scheme. Then you have PLI scheme, production link incentive scheme for photovoltaic modules, to increase the adoption of solar panels in India. This PLI scheme, they were included in the second PLI scheme. Then you have International Solar Alliance, where a lot of other countries, more than 100 countries of the world now have joined the International Solar Alliance, which is headquartered in Gurgaon. Clear? Apart from it, there are multiple other renewable energy based policies of government. You have market reforms in the form of power exchanges like IEX, India Energy Exchange, where a lot of trading of energy happens over that exchange, where industrial clusters state they can buy power directly from other parties. You have real time markets like IES, through which power can be traded. Then you have a lot of distribution reforms are also being done in the form of revamped distribution sector scheme, where a lot of smart metering will be done in the households or residential areas. Through this smart metering, you can exactly track how much of electricity is demanded where, how much is used, what when it forms peak, when it doesn't form peak. All those things can be managed. AT&C losses will also be reduced because of smart metering, because smart meters can exactly detect that whatever energy was which came from the grid, however it is utilized, or how much theft has been done in between. Apart from this, you have Ujjwal Discom Assurance Yojana, Uday scheme, which was for Discom distribution companies of power. In this, the financial health of these companies were improved by the government by providing financial incentives, so that they do not incur so many losses in future. So these were some of the schemes or government initiatives regarding the power sector. A major push among them is for the renewables, which you must be focusing on. Now, what can be done more? What more is required to do? The way forward. First, on the supply side, there should be a strategic shift to renewables and storages like battery energy storage system, which is in short called BESS, battery energy and storage system. This is the future, where you will produce a lot of solar or renewable energy that will be stored through batteries, and later on it will be transmitted in the power grid. You have to diversify your energy mix. Right now 70% dependence is on coal. By 2070 we have to be net zero emitter. So there can be multiple scenarios. Now Niti Aayog is working on multiple scenarios where by 2070 our dependence on coal for electricity generation will be around 10-12%, or it can be 0% also, entirely based upon renewables. You have to strengthen the grid and transmission networks. You have to make green energy corridors from resource rich regions to industrial hubs. Let's say resource rich, what is the resource rich region? Your Rajasthan, your Gujarat, Tamil Nadu. These are the places, Ladakh, which can have a lot of solar and wind energy. So from here you can transmit the energy, let's say to industrial hub of Gujarat, to Maharashtra, to the industrial hub of Tamil Nadu. Clear? Then you have to have accelerating the smart grid adoption. Smart grid will involve smart metering also. Now the government is promoting them, but they are not being implemented at a faster pace. A lot of regions are still having conventional meters. In fact, in cities like Delhi, which are the capital of our country, we still do not have the entire 100% adoption of smart meters. Then you have distribution sector reforms or DISCOM reforms. You have to bring financial discipline to ensure that DISCOMs remain profitable and they do not default in future. Government also brought an Electricity Amendment Bill 2026, which aims to allow industrial consumers to procure power directly, promoting market competition and cost reflective tariffs. So basically, this has not been passed till now. This bill talks about how the consumers, they can buy power from anybody. There can be multiple distributors. So if this mechanism will be created, a competition in distribution will be there. So it will lead to better efficiencies, better adoption of technologies in distribution, which will lead to better overall system. AT&C loss reduction, bring these losses down to 12 to 15% from present 27% right now. Clear? Then you have to focus on emerging technologies and specific focus on nuclear mission of India. In budget also, government focused a lot on small module reactors for production of nuclear energy. A national green hydrogen mission to decarbonize heavy industries like steel and fertilizers. National green hydrogen mission is being focused. Government is promoting it a lot. You have national energy mission pushing for 100 gigawatts of nuclear capacity by 2047. Right now it is very less, close to, I think it may be somewhere around 6-7 gigawatts. So we are focusing from 6-7 to 100 gigawatts by 2047 by focusing on indigenously built small module reactors and utilizing India's thorium reserves. We do have a lot of thorium present in India, which is a raw material for these small modular reactors. And then we have to focus on AI based demand forecasting so that we can manage the peak and the lean season of power. So whenever there is peak demand during the afternoon or evening, that can be managed properly without failure of the grid system. So we have to adopt AI and other systems also. So these were some of the way forwards which we can adopt in the power sector or electricity demand in India. Now you have a practice question which says discuss the emerging drivers of power demand in India and examine their implications for energy policy. What are the new sectors, new drivers of energy in India? So make sure you write this answer. Now coming to the Prince pointer, the first article talks about the attacks over the energy infrastructure by both Israel and retaliation by Iran. So the first article which talks about Ras Laffan, which is a major industrial hub of Qatar, where in fact 2/4 of India's energy import is done from Ras Laffan. So basically what happened hours after Israel hit South Pars. Now South Pars is the, you can say, LNG production facility of Iran, which was hit by Israel. In retaliation, Iran hit the Ras Laffan infrastructure of Qatar, which is the world's largest natural gas field located in the Persian Gulf, shared boundary between Iran and Qatar. We'll see all of this. Iranian missiles on Thursday struck the world's biggest liquefied natural gas facility in Qatar's Ras Laffan in industrial city. Now India, as we can see, more than 2/5 of India's LNG comes from Qatar. Almost all of that comes from Ras Laffan. So why this is important for us? Because a lot of new places are in news. So UPSC has a habit of asking you these places in news. They can give in match the following also. Now this is the land area of Qatar, and this is the land area of Iran. Fine. This is entire Persian Gulf. Now, this natural gas field is entirely located beneath the water in the Persian Gulf. So, this is not the land area. This is the entire water area. So, this gas field is located underneath Earth. Now, on the northern side, you have South Pars. Why South Pars name is there? Because even if it is on the northern side, because it is in the south of Iran. It is under the territorial control of Iran. So, on the south of Iran, so name South Pars. However, the southern region is called Qatar North Field because it is in the north of Qatar. So it is under the administrative control of Qatar. The location, now you guys know, this is an offshore natural gas field located in Persian Gulf. Offshore means away from your coast. Then it is the ownership is shared between Iran and Qatar. The northern part, as the name says, South Pars, is under Iran, and the southern part, which is your Qatar North Field, that is under the control of Qatar. Clear? And the northern dome, which is under the control of Qatar, it is about 6,000 square kilometer. So the larger area belongs to Qatar. The south part is 3,700 square kilometer, which is a bit smaller as compared to the Qatar section. Now it is recognized as world's largest natural gas field. It contains roughly 51 trillion cubic meter of gas, which is roughly 19% of the world's total gas reserve. That means 1/5 of total gas reserve is found in just one reserve. So now you understand how important it is. And most of India's energy in the form of gas energy, LNG, it comes from this field. So it becomes important for us also. Now it is backbone of Qatar's export economy of LNG. Qatar does not have a lot of crude oil. They largely export gas and they earn money from that. It is also primary energy source for Iran's own domestic use. Now the geological formation which holds these gas, the reservoir is located in the Kangan Dalan formation, which dates back to Permian Triassic period, roughly 250 million years ago. This period was roughly just before your Jurassic period, where dinosaurs dominated. So before that period, a lot of organic matter was here, part of Tethyan Sea. As the tectonic movements happened, the Tethyan Sea got converted into other landforms. So a lot of organic matter in the form of plants and planktons, it got deposited under the sea and converted into gas. This is how it is formed. So this region is important for you. Not only this, along with this, you must also know what are some other places in this particular area which are important in the context of war. Last year, US and Israel, they conducted Operation Midnight Thunder, where they attacked 3 Iranian, you can say, nuclear sites, which according to US and Israel, Iran must be hiding their nuclear weapons or uranium in those places. So these were Natanz. They said that it is the largest uranium enrichment center of Iran. Uranium enrichment. Basically, after enriching the uranium, they use that in making bombs. Then you have Isfahan, where near bomb grade nuclear fuel was thought to be stored at this place. Isfahan. And third is Fordo. Fordo was Iran's most critical nuclear site, dug deep into the mountains. So a lot of bunker busting bombs were hit in these particular sites last year by US and Israel, saying that we have completely destroyed the nuclear infrastructure of Iran. Apart from this, recently Kharg Island in the north of Persian Gulf, this Kharg Island has a lot of infrastructure for oil export by Iran. See, generally the entire Persian Gulf is shallow. It cannot easily harbor big ships. But this Kharg Island has natural deep water harbor, which you can say is used to fill and export a lot of oil from Iran. This was again an important energy infrastructure for Iran. This was also hit by Israel. Now your South Pars facility of Iran is also hit by Israel. So these are all in news. What more can you remember? See, Strait of Hormuz is in news. Everybody must have heard of it. But what you must also know is there is also a Hormuz Island here. Because of that Hormuz Island, the name Strait of Hormuz has been given. And this Strait of Hormuz is separating the areas of Iran, your Oman, and UAE. These are the 3 parties around Strait of Hormuz. You have a lot of small other islands also. For example, Kashmir Island. It is also called Long Island because of its long shape. You have Kish Island. Then you have a lot of Greater Tun and your smaller, lesser Tun islands here. So UPSI has a habit of asking these small things somewhere here and there. So always make sure you are aware of these things. Clear? So all these were in news. So that's why we covered. Coming to the second topic of today's discussion, which is regarding the resignation of chairman from HDFC Bank. Now HDFC Bank is a systematically important bank, a domestic systematically important bank, which means it is too big to fail. If something happens to HDFC Bank, it can has a effect on the entire economy of India because of the size of this bank. So anything happening around these domestic systematically important banks, it is of importance to us in the form of your economy section and banking within economy. So what happened recently? There was a sudden resignation of Atanu Chakrabarti as the part-time chairman of HDFC Bank. He was also an independent director of HDFC Bank in the board of directors. So he resigned. Basically, this shows massive value erosion of the bank stock. The stock fell by 5 to 7%, which eroded a lot of wealth of people because a lot of mutual fund houses and retail investors, they hold HDFC Bank share. Now, certain happenings and practices within the bank that I have observed over the last 2 years are not in congruence with my personal views. This is what Mr. Chakrabarti said while resigning. He said certain practices are being happening in bank which do not align with my personal ideas that how a bank should be governed. But it does not mean that some fraud is happening in the bank. The bank is completely well run. It's just like the board may be proposing, or you can say Mr. Chakrabarti as chairman of the board may be proposing some other strategy. The bank management might be going some other strategy. So that's why he must have resigned. Now HDFC Bank is a domestic systematically important bank with sound financials, professional run board and competent management team. The bank remains well capitalized and financial position of the bank remains satisfactory with sufficient liquidity, said by RBI. Because this is such a large bank, so many stakeholders are there. Yesterday only, the bank and RBI both did a conference which clarified this issue, and RBI appointed KK Mistry as the part-time chairman of this bank. Even KK Mistry, being 71 years of age, and earlier he was the chairman of HDFC previously also. He has a long record of banking. He is a very ethical administrator. He said that had there something be wrong in the bank, I would not have staked my image by taking this position. So he says all things are fine. So through this article, what we need to study, we need to take care of the things that what is domestic systematically important banks, which banks are designated as DSIBs. So these are the banks which are too big to fail. If they fail, they will take the entire economy into shambles. Now their failure can disrupt the entire financial system. They are identified by RBI in India. RBI is the authority which gives this status to any bank of being domestic systematically important bank. Based on the idea of systematic risk, just like how in 2008 a lot of banks crashed in US, we does not want similar situation in India. To protect that kind of situation, this designation is given. Large banks generally they have high interconnections among different industries, different sectors. They have large customer base. They have crucial role in the economy. So that's why they are designated systematically important. Then their failure can lead to a contagion effect in the entire banking system. RBI framework, this was introduced in 2014 based upon the size of bank, its interconnectedness, substitutability and complexity. If a small bank is there, it can be easily substituted by some other bank, but these large banks cannot be easily substituted. Now they propose a bucket system where the buckets are classified from 1 to 5. Higher the bucket, higher the risk and more capital will be required additionally to safeguard them. Although these are the safest banks, but still within safe you have some kind of risk. So what are the DSIBs in India? RBI has designated SBI, HDFC and ICICI. These three are the domestic systematically important bank. One public sector bank and two private sector bank. In 2015, first SBI was designated. In 2016, ICICI and 2017, HDFC was designated systematically important. Clear? SBI is in the bucket 3. That means they require higher additional capital. Let's say 0.4% of the whole capital of bank, and HDFC and ICICI in bucket 1, which requires 0.2% of additional capital. These are too big to fail. Now, what additional requirements they have because of their size, because of their sensitivity? They must maintain higher common equity ratio, CET1 capital. This CET1 capital is bank's core highest quality regulatory capital. primarily comprises of ordinary shares of bank and retained earnings. Whatever bank has earned, they put a section aside as common equity tier 1, the highest quality of equity. So this additional amount is kept aside so that in future, if any fraud happens, if something happens somewhere, this capital can be used to stabilize the things. There is no bank run in the bank. Bank run is generally when people comes under panic and they start withdrawing their money. Now this CET acts as a primary loss absorbing buffer against the financial distress. Whenever there is some loss, this capital will act as a buffer. The minimum requirement ratio is 4.5 of the risk weighted assets under Basel III norms. Generally, the banking supervision, the international, you can say central bank of all the banks situated in Basel, it determines what should be the capital adequacy ratio or what should be the minimum buffer. This is the 4.5% of all the risk weighted assets. That means the bank has given loan somewhere, that is a risk weighted asset, it is a risk of not coming back. So, but in India, the total CET1 requirement is 8%, much more than the norm set by the Basel. Clear? So in India, the requirement is 8, and these three systematically important banks, they require additional capital of, let's say, 0.4% or 0.2% above this 8%. Clear? Now we have global equivalents also, which are global systematically important banks. There are 30 such global systematically important banks. Now what you have to make sure is there is no Indian bank in this. No Indian. These Indian banks are too small to be part of global systematically important banks. You have examples like JP Morgan, Citibank, Bank of America, Bank of China, Goldman Sachs, etc. No Indian bank. They are identified by Financial Stability Board. Who created this Financial Stability Board? The G20 mechanism. G20 in the year 2009, they created this Financial Stability Board, which basically monitors and make recommendations on the global financial system. This was created in 2009, just after the global financial crisis, ताकि future में same crisis does not happen again. Now, what are the exam traps? What you have to keep in mind for your prelims? These domestic systematically important banks, they are not identified by SEBI. They are identified by RBI. Now, only public sector banks can become systematically important? No. Both public and private. In fact, more private. 2 private banks are part of it. Then they require no extra capital apart from the 8% authorized by RBI. Again wrong. They require additional capital, this additional capital. And then they are the same as NBFCs. Again no. Only banks are right now described as domestic systematically important. No NBFC is part of it. Clear? So these are some of the exam traps which you can face in prelims. Coming to the next topic, which talks about health, about your World Happiness Report, which is part of your health and economic and social development. It is part of. Now what this World Happiness Report says, basically this report is released by United Nations Sustainable Development Solution Network along with Wellbeing Research Center of University of Oxford. Basically the main party behind this report is University of Oxford, their Wellbeing Research Center along with United Nations Sustainable Development Solution Network, and they also have Gallup Analytics firm. This is a private firm which also involves in it. Clear? This report was first published in 2012. Thereafter it is released every year. Now what was given in news is that Afghanistan is ranked as the unhappiest country in the world again. Last year also Afghanistan was the unhappiest country. Basically they does a survey either offline or offline face to face or online, where they ask people to rank their happiness based upon 0 to 10. Now people themselves rank how much happy or sad they are based upon these reports are formed. Now what this report has highlighted is that heavy social media use contributed to stark decline in well-being among young people, with the effect particularly worrying in teenage girls. Basically they are saying that teenage girls which are glued to social media, which spend a lot of time on social media, their happiness is decreasing day by day, largely in the English speaking countries in Western Europe, according to this report. This report, as we have seen, published by University of Oxford, and they found that Finland, for the ninth, or you can say 8th or 9th consecutive time, Finland is the happiest land, 9th year in a row. So Finland is the happiest. The people of Finland, they express themselves being the most happy people on the world for 9th consecutive year, followed by other Nordic countries, your Denmark, Iceland, all these are among the top countries. So The steady rankings on top is related to the combination of wealth, its equal distribution of wealth in Finland. Basically, these are the reasons why Finland is on the top. Having a welfare state where the government takes care of their people, of their subjects, clear, and people from the that protect people from the risk of recession and a healthy life expectancy, because a lot of health benefits are given to the people, a lot of financial benefits are given to the people, because these are resource rich countries but the population is very less, clear. And with regards to Afghanistan, it is ranked as unhappiest we have seen, along with Sierra Leone as second unhappiest country and Malawi in Africa. Now, the study was done, as you've seen, by the Gallup Analytics firm and United Nations Sustainable Development Solution Network. It said that 15-year-old girls, which we have already seen this, so young people who use social media less than 1 hour per day, reports the highest level of well-being. So the less you consume social media, the more happier you will be. Now, largely, why this report says this? See, by looking at the social media, it's like highlight. Social media is highlight of any influencer. It does not represent their entire life. It might happen that a particular influencer is facing depression, but on social media he's seen very happy, enjoying his life. So rest all people who are consuming that content, they think that everything is rosy on that side. Everybody is enjoying in their life. On LinkedIn, everybody looks like they are doing amazing professionally. On Instagram, it's look like everybody's on a holiday. Clear? So, but this is not the reality. People feel your relative deprivation because of social media. They do not see what they have. They every time keep on comparing from other people, and which leads to their reduced happiness. Clear? So apart from exam, this is also helpful for you guys in your preparation. Now, what we need to know with regards to the prelims exam. Now, this report is released on 20th March every day on International Day of Happiness. Today is International Day of Happiness designated by UN. Now, the methodology, as we have discussed, it is self-reported life evaluation. Self-reported basically on a Cantril ladder from 0 to 10. Basically, this is a scale. People evaluate themselves from 0 to 10. And what is important for you is these 6 indicators. These are the 6 indicators based on which this report is found. It is not found just on the basis of GDP. On the basis of GDP, India is the third largest country. People should be happy, but it is calculated on the basis of GDP per capita. Because of high population, our GDP per capita becomes low. So GDP per capita, 1. Then your social support in society. That means whenever you are feeling low, whenever you need somebody, whether people are available around you or not. Then it depends upon healthy life expectancy. How much life will you live? Right now it is around 70 in India. Whether it is healthy or not. Then your freedom of choice, whether you can take your own decisions, you have free will to take your decisions or not in the society. Then generosity within the society, how generous people are, and your perception of corruption, basically what people think about the corruption within their country. These are the 6 main indicators of global happiness report which you have to remember. What are the highlights? Finland, we have seen Denmark, Iceland, Switzerland among the top countries. Costa Rica is a new addition. It is a small island country within the Central America in the Caribbean island. This has become the 4th most happiest country now, Costa Rica. And in the bottom, we have seen Afghanistan, Sierra Leone, and Malawi. India, you have to remember this also. The ranking of India has improved slightly from 118th previously to now 116th, so slight improvement. However, we are still behind like countries like Pakistan, which are ranked 104, and Sri Lanka ranked 99 in this report. Although we can say that India is progressively much better than Pakistan, but the methodology used in this report is self-perception, what people think of themselves. We do not know. Pakistanis must be winning one match from India, let's say a cricket match in a decade, and they must be thinking that they are happy now, so they might be higher in the ranking. So we do not know on what basis Pakistani people say that they are more happier. So, but this is the report. If the question comes in prelims that Pakistan and Sri Lanka are ranked better than India in this report, then that is correct. Clear? And we have already seen the social media, how it leads to lower and lower happiness. Now, this world happiness, within this report, what you have to understand is that happiness is not equal to only income. Your income may rise, but your vulnerability with regards to society may keep on increasing. You may feel relative deprivation. Clear? It has a strong correlation with trust in the institutions based upon corruption and all those things. Social cohesion among people, among different castes, among different religious communities, and community support. What you need to remember with the perspective of your prelims exam. It is published by UNDP. This is wrong. This is a trap. Then how it is calculated based upon GDP? Again wrong. It is based upon GDP per capita. It measures objective happiness. Again, it is wrong. It is subjective evaluation. Somebody may be earning more, somebody may be having a better lifestyle, but still may be feeling unhappy. So it is a subjective evaluation. India is in the top 100. Again wrong. India is ranked 116th. Clear? And we are behind our some of the peers in South Asia like Sri Lanka and Pakistan. So these are the prelims trap which you must avoid. You must keep in mind. Coming to the next topic, which talks about family court, which is part of your polity section. Now, what happens? A 21-year-old woman who was married at the age of 12, she has secured an annulment of her marriage. That means her marriage has been cancelled by the family court. Clear? The court noted the adverse impact of child marriage on the present and future of children and emphasized the need for societal efforts to eliminate the practice of child marriage. Now, in this article, what we have to study? We have to study what are family courts. So basically, your family courts are established under Family Courts Act of 1984. The aim of establishing these family courts is to have speedy trials, speedy jurisdiction, your inexpensive trials, so that you don't have to hire a lot of lawyers, you don't need to go to far off places to access the courts. Then amicable settlement within family disputes, so that family dispute does not become enlarged. It remains a small dispute and it is solved by talking. It is set up by state government. There is no role of central government here. Family courts are entirely set up by state government. This is an important information for prelims perspective. It is done in consultation with the High Court. So state government in consultation with the High Court set up these family courts. What are the objective we have seen? To promote conciliation over litigation, so that the burden on courts is also reduced. At the same time, the process can be done speedy. It to reduce burden on regular courts, to ensure family harmony and welfare, so that see, if a lot of cost and litigation is involved, it leads to very bad situation where family breaks permanently. So that situation also has to be avoided here. These family courts are mandatory in cities with population of more than 1 million or 10 lakh. So any city having more than population of 10 lakh, it is mandatory. But any city apart from it, if they want, family court can also be set up in other areas based upon the need. However, if the city is large enough, having more than 1 million population, then it is mandatory to set up. What are their jurisdiction? Largely marriage disputes like divorce, nullity, basically nullifying the marriage, then restitution of conjugal rights, rights to women, all these things, reproductive rights, all these things, although they are not very much talked about. Then maintenance of wife, children, parents by any person within the family. Then custody of children, it can also be seen by family courts. Your legitimacy of marriage or any child, whether that marriage is legitimate or not, whether the woman was married when she was a child below 18 years of age. Then property disputes between spouses is also seen by the family court. So all matter relating to family and marriage are resolved by family, marriage, child and parents. All these are resolved by these family courts. What else you need to remember is that there are special features of conciliation first approach. That means they try to mediate first, they try to resolve the dispute, then they take shape of a court. Then court decides, okay, we will decide, you get this, you get this. Otherwise, initially they try through mediation things can be solved. Then it is flexible and informal. That means they are not strictly bound by Code of Civil Procedure or Indian Evidence Act or Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. They are not bound by these acts. They work on the principle of natural justice. Principle of natural justice. Clear? So the proceedings are done in camera to have a proof of recording. So largely these proceedings are private behind closed doors to protect the dignity of different parties, because now the people from both the sides are from a family. So their family dignity has to be maintained. Lawyers are not mandatory. However, if the requirement of lawyer is there, then they can be allowed only with the court's permission. Otherwise, lawyers are not required. Lawyers are required in conventional court, which follow CRPC, Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita and Evidence Act. But here they are not followed. So you have to remember this thing. Now their appeal, they have only one right to appeal, which lies in High Court. Now this is again very important. They have one right to appeal, that is only in High Court, which has to be filed within 30 days. After the lapse of 30 days, that means after 30 days, you cannot file appeal. So this you have to remember. Now, what are the exam traps here which you have to keep in mind for prelims? It is established under constitution, wrong. It is established by statute. So these are statutory courts or statutory bodies. They are set up by central only, again wrong. They are set up by states on the advice of high courts. Lawyers are mandatory, no. Lawyers are optional, generally they are not required, but if required, court can allow them. Open court proceedings are done, again they are wrong. The proceedings are closed door to maintain the dignity of family. What more you have to remember, their appeal does not lie to district court, their appeal lies to high court. Clear? Remember this thing. And they do not follow the Evidence Act and CRPC, all those things. They follow principle of natural justice. All these things you have to remember in family court. Coming to the last topic of today's Prince Pointer, which talks about your IPOs in capital market or stock market. So it relates to the economy section of capital markets, which is also called stock market. So what this article says, that because of the turbulence in stock market, because the market is falling a lot, a kind of bear market is approaching in the Indian capital market. Now a lot of IPOs are being deferred, because in this type of condition, these IPOs do not get good valuation. Earlier, let's say they can list their company in IPO by valuing a company, let's say at 1000 crores. Now they will just get 600-700 crore valuation because of the market dynamics. So a lot of IPOs are being delayed. One famous IPO is for PhonePe, which a lot of we people use PhonePe for digital payments, UPI payments. They have filed an IPO for 13 to 14,000 crores, which has been delayed. So basically, this article entirely talks about how, because of Iran-Israel war, because of volatility in the market, because of higher crude oil prices, falling rupee, all these factors, the markets are not in a stable form, and because of it, a lot of IPOs are being deferred. Now, why it is important for us? Because UPSC asks a lot of questions these days from stock market. They ask technical terms from the market. So what you have to keep in mind here is IPO. We'll see about what an IPO is, what are the different terms related to IPO are. So what is IPO? It is an initial public offering, initial, for the first time when a private company offers share to the public through stock exchange. Now what it does, let's say a company wants to raise money to expand its factory. Now they do not have so much of profit. Let's say a company earns just 50 crore of profit, but they require 200 crores to expand their business, but they are not willing to take loan from bank. What they can do, they can sell 10, 15, 20% of their stake and get money through it. Whenever some stake will be sold, they will get that money. That money will be used for expansion purposes by the bank. So the ownership of owner of that company, earlier let's say a person was having 100% ownership of the company, now he'll be having 70-80% of ownership. He sold his 20-30% stake, but when it is sold for the first time, it is IPO. Company becomes publicly listed on stock exchanges like Bombay Stock Exchange and National Stock Exchange. Clear? What is the purpose of IPO? To raise capital for expansion of business, to reduce debt. Let's say they have taken some loan from the bank, but now they are not generating that much profit. Otherwise, they would have repaid the loan by profit. So they require a stake sale to repay the debt. Then new project they must be launching. For that, they require money. So, or it is also done for providing exit route to the early investor. Let's say somebody, for example, your Shark Tank investor, these are early investors. Somebody is investing, a venture capitalist, an angel investor, a seed capitalist, or a private equity firm. They provide early stage money to these startups. Now, when they become large, they have to sell their stake and take their money, and they will use that money somewhere else to fund some other startup. So they require an exit. So these VCs or private equity firm, they sell their stake in the stock exchange, which is bought by either mutual fund houses or institutional investors or retail investors. Or they are also used to improve the visibility and credibility of a company. If a company is listed in stock market, its visibility increases. People come to know about that company. Their sale of their products increases because of the increased visibility. If say a lot of people are discussing about your company on a national TV, because it is listed in stock exchange, so it is a kind of free PR for that company, free advertisement of that company. Who regulates all this? SEBI. Now here there is no role of RBI. SEBI regulates the IPO mechanism. There are different kinds of stake sale in IPO. First is your fresh issue, where new shares are issued and money goes to the company. Company issues new share, the old share gets diluted, and in the fresh issue, what happens? Whatever stake sale happens, whatever money is collected, it comes into the company. And in this fresh issue, the capital comes here for expansion, debt reduction, and new projects. The other part is offer for sale. In offer for sale, what happens? Existing shareholders, they sell their shares, and money goes to the selling shareholder. Now these selling shareholders, they can also be promoters. Promoters means owners of the business, or they can be private equity or venture capitalist firm, clear, or any other investor. So this money offer for sale goes to this to provide exit to somebody else. Now, what is the pricing method in IPO? Who decides the price? How it is decided? There are two methods. One is fixed price issue. Price is decided in advance. That let's say this IPO will come at a price of 100, and whosoever has to buy will buy at 100. Another is book building process. Largely, most of the IPOs today come through book building process, where they will give a band. The price discovery happens through bidding, where a price band is provided, a floor price and a cap price. Floor price, let's say, a price is given between 100 to 120. If the demand is low, the IPO will be sold at 100 rupees. If the demand is very high, it exceeds more than what was required, it will be sold at a cap, at a higher price of 120. So demand supply decides through bidding, decides this price. So book building process is used these days. What are the other key terms? Your draft red herring prospectus, DRHP. What is DRHP? Basically, it is submitted to SEBI before an IPO approval by the company. Company tells all its details in its DRHP, so that the investors who has to invest in that company, they can read about that company, they can know about that company, because earlier this was a private company. We do not have any information. Later on it will become public, we will have a lot of information, because they'll have to publish annual reports every year. But right now we are not having. So through DHRP, we gain information about these companies. So DHRP is draft, just like a draft bill. They are filed initially. At the final stage of IPO, they file RHP, Red Herring Prospectus. Red Herring Prospectus is a final document without final price. So they have all the details about the company, but not the final price of the issue. Now, why it is called Red Herring? Somebody must be curious why it is called Red Herring Prospectus. Because, see, whenever a promoter sells something, they will always tell the good things about that company, that this will gain this much of revenue, this much of profit, itni badhiya company, all those things. But through this DHRP, we get to know about the you can say shortcomings in the company, limitations about the company. And these limitations can be in the form of, let's say, some company is loss making. A company promoter or owner can have a litigation against him, a court case against him. There may be a previous income tax raid on that company. All these things are given in red herring prospectus. That's why it is called red herring prospectus, so that red is the color of danger. So it, you can say, tells people what can go wrong here. Clear? Apart from this, what you need to know, what are the category of investors? First is QIB, qualified institutional buyers. Generally 50% of the quota of IPO is kept for them. These are large institutions like your mutual fund houses who buy stake. Apart from this, 15% of share is generally kept for non-institutional investors. These are largely your HNI, small HNI, high net worth individuals, and big HNI, big high net worth individuals. Largely, they put in a bids worth around 2 lakh, and big HNI put bid worth around 10 lakh. And then in last, we have retail investor. For them, 35% quota is kept. Retail investors generally like us people, so they can invest up to 2 lakh, but generally they put 15,000 in IPO application. So these are different kind of investors. QIB, large houses, business houses or mutual fund houses. NII, your high net worth individuals, and retail are people like you and me. What are the risks in IPO? Now, DHRP talks about these risks. For example, these companies have no historical market performance because they are new. They are coming for the first time in the market. Then overvaluation risk might be there. Some companies, for example, your Tata Technologies is a Tata company which is an IT firm of Tata. It was listed at 1400, and right now it is, after 3 years of listing, it is still at 700 rupees. So whosoever has bought at 1400, in 3 years they have not gained anything. In fact, their wealth became half. So overvaluation risks are also there. Then market volatility, times like these, they can create a large gap in the price. They can make a company undervalued also, they can make a company overvalued also. And information gap, because we do not know a lot of things about the company. This is a new company, so it is always a risk. Now, what are the exam traps here? What you have to keep in mind with regard to prelims? Now, IPO means government selling shares. No, not only this. Although if a government is also selling stake in PSU, that is also an IPO, but not only government. Fine. Then only profitable companies can launch IPO. Again, this is wrong. Companies like Zomato, they are loss making. They came out with IPO. Companies like Policy Bazaar, they were loss making when they came out with IPO. Companies like Urban Company, they were loss making. So a lot of loss making comes in for IPO. They can also stake sale. In future, they can become profitable or whatever happens. But initially, this is not a requirement that they should be profitable. Then IPO price is always fixed. This is again wrong. Price may be determined because of the bidding system. And last, SEBI issues share. No, this is wrong. SEBI regulates the entire system. SEBI oversees this process, but SEBI does not issue the shares. Clear? So these things you have to keep in mind regarding IPO. Now with this, we come to end to today's analyst discussion. Make sure you practice your answer writing and keep in mind all the appearance pointer which we have discussed. Now I'll see you again in the next discussion. Thank you.